Boom. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know about you guys, but growing on a personal level, professional level, trying to become a leader, oftentimes it's really difficult if you're trying to do it yourself. And if you need a little bit of help, that's what today's episode is all about. Let's get this one on the road. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
Look, a business can give you everything you want in life: prestige, wealth, freedom. It can also take everything away from you. This show is for those who are willing to take that risk. These are the real life stories of entrepreneurs. But before we start, I have one small favor to ask. Please leave a comment. It can be advice, critiques, tips, feedback, or share this with someone because your engagement is the most valuable and most powerful form of social currency. So thank you, and welcome to another episode of Business Boss! Are you feeling stuck in your personal or professional life? Do you want to unlock your full potential and achieve your goals and dreams? Our guest today is a talented communicator, leadership expert, and coach, passionate about inspiring others to grow, excel, and achieve their goals. He has helped individuals and organizations overcome blockages, align their values with vocation, and discover unique ways of setting and achieving goals that led to a more fulfilling, successful life. Today, he's here to share his expertise with us and help us take that next step towards achieving our dreams. So let's welcome to the show, Mr. Clint Ladine. And now the party can begin. Welcome to the show, Doc.
Thank you for having me. That's an amazing intro. Only up from here.
Only up from here. I'm glad you like it. I just figure, the show's got to be all about you, the guest. You're the one who's coming on here sharing your expertise, so we got to make sure you come in ready to rock and roll. So let's jump into this. Tell me about your experience, your coaching and leadership. I feel like every good coach had some story that brought them to this part of their life. So tell me a little bit about your background. How'd you get here?
Yeah, well, after playing professional basketball overseas in Europe, I worked at an organization here in the city, and I was on the leadership track. They gave me an executive coach, and at first I didn't want the coach. I really kind of had an ego. I had a little bit of hubris. I had been in my industry 5 years, already had my master's degree at that time, and I thought, what could this guy possibly teach me? I know how to work hard. I know my industry. Short story, it was absolutely transformative. He helped me go to new places that I never dreamed. He helped our organization reach new revenue heights. And then from there, I thought, oh my gosh, everybody needs to have coaching, and I got to learn more about it. And so I went into a program and got my doctorate in executive coaching and strategic leadership, and have just loved it and wanted to impart that wisdom to others.
Yeah, it's funny. You mentioned the hubris. Feel like you know it all. I got a bunch of 17-year-olds who I know feel like they know everything, and getting coaching is not the easiest thing. But everybody has, even the greats have coaching. Tiger Woods got coaching. Kobe had coaching. Everybody who's at a successful level still has coaching. Why is coaching so important, even though you might be really good at what you do?
Short story, we all have blind spots, and we all have another level that we can reach. And a coach helps identify those blind spots. And also, if you have a good coach, you have somebody that's in your corner and they're nudging you to get better in the different areas of your life. So when you think about those blind spots, somebody in your corner and somebody that's nudging you to be the best version of you, it's invaluable.
Yeah, it's the focus, right? Like there's only so many hours in a day, 24 hours in a day. It doesn't matter what human being on earth you're talking about. They all have the same 24 hours. So why is it that Oprah becomes Oprah and we don't, right? Like what is it that's stopping us? There's some sort of blockage. There's some sort of like something that we kind of have in our way that stops us. Cause I feel like every individual has an unlimited potential. And yet we're still talking here about, you need a little bit of nudge. You need somebody in your corner. You need somebody to push you forward. What are some of those blockages that people tend to overcome when they do get coaching?
Yeah, well, if you go back to it, a lot of it is sometimes is from our upbringing that we don't even realize, right? We have some limiting beliefs that maybe have been placed upon us. We have some conditioning, with those that have surrounded us. And I'll give you an example for myself, and it might relate to some of the audience that was there. I can remember a time where I was a sophomore in high school. I went to my guidance counselor, and he asked me, what do you want to do with your life, right? Kind of a standard question. Maybe some of them are going through it. And I'll tell you, I knew from 5 years old that I wanted to play basketball. It was something that I just knew. I was born into a basketball family, wanted to do it. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to take a chance, and I'm going to be vulnerable, and I'm going to tell this guidance counselor, although I was nervous because I kind of thought I knew what he was going to say. So I went, I told this guy, and he told me this. Here I am, I'm this young kid, I'm going to be vulnerable. And he kind of basically just squashed my dream. He kind of said, you know what? You're in a small town, you're not that tall. The chances of you ever doing that are like 0.0000. Why don't we think about long-term and posts and, all those type of things. And I was thinking, right? And in that, right, and the other people that surround me, they began to, that's a form of conditioning and beginning to set those limiting beliefs. Contrast that. If you can imagine, what if this counselor would have come to me and he would have gone, wow, you know what, Clint, you got that dream? How can we come alongside you as a school? How can I come alongside you as a counselor to make that happen? What type of training can I get you? What type of cognitive training can we get you? What kind of nutritionist can we get behind you to help you and push you towards that dream? And so you can see kind of that if you kind of look back in your history and people that you surrounded yourself with and the kind of things that they were feeding you. Were they feeding you, like you were talking about, this idea of, man, you can overcome, you can go through it, right? Stay on track? Or were they beginning to plant little seeds of doubt and limiting beliefs? And so it's important. A coach can help you overcome that and evoke awareness and find where those limiting beliefs have been placed and then take some steps to overcome them.
Isn't it scary how it's coming from a place of love, right? Like the counselor didn't tell you something like that because they wanted to deflate you. I feel like entrepreneurs have the same kind of pathway. Oftentimes we get this idea in our mind and we're super excited. So we go and tell the first person that we want to talk to, which is probably the closest person to us, our parents, our siblings, our spouses, right? We go and we tell them about this dream, this vision that we have, this goal that we want to attain. And right away they shoot us down, and they're not doing it because they want us to feel bad. They're doing it because they're trying to help you, but it is almost doing the complete opposite because it's not really encouraging you to fulfill that dream. It's deflating you essentially. How do you help organizations or individuals align their values and kind of remove those types of roadblocks? Because it's one thing to say, we're gonna help you align this, we're gonna help you align that, but thoughts are great until actions actually take that path forward. Otherwise, we keep dreaming and talking. I feel like I do this myself. I know, talking about the things we want to do, but then not following through with the actions necessary to make that a reality.
Yeah, and then let me just share this quote I remember from Michael Jordan, kind of in that vein, and then I'll tackle that question just for your audience there. Michael, this kind of burned in my brain, is Michael Jordan said, I don't take basketball advice from an 8th grader. I take advice from somebody that's been there to where I'm going. And so, when you talk about those that we listen to, yes, people do it out of love, but a lot of times people that we talk to have never overcome limiting beliefs. They've never tried entrepreneurship. They've never tried anything difficult or risky in their lives. And they want you to stay in that same box. They don't want you popping your head above and doing something different. And so you really need to take a look and say, okay, has this person tried something risky? Have they put themselves out there? And what are some of those things that I can copy? And, when you talk about business and, people have a strategic objective and they have a vision for their life. one of the things that I love to do is I love to do this exercise. It's called around the block. And what I do is I have my clients, right, if they have a vision of where they're going, right? And we know anytime you have a vision, man, that it's hard, it's scary, so many things could go wrong. And so I have them go around the block. And one of the first things I have them do is go ahead and verbally tell me your greatest fears and the worst thing that could happen if you do that. So for example, if you're starting a business, tell me your greatest fear. Oh my gosh, I could fail. My family will tell you, I told you so. And really verbalize the worst thing. Nobody will like me. I will be bankrupt. I will be sleeping on my friend's couch. And list them all. Go through it, because a lot of times our fear, we don't even know what they are until we begin to audibilize them, say them out loud, and then we can begin to identify, is that really true? Could that happen? Could I survive that if it did happen? And then I take them around the block and I say, now tell me, what if it happened like you envisioned it? Oh my gosh, my company is successful. I see my family flourishing. I see me operating in my giftings and my talents. I see people being blessed because of the work that I'm doing and the risk that I took, and really going through that so they can paint a picture that way. And then we begin to decide, okay, is that something that you're willing to do? And then we begin to reverse engineer it. And then we begin to go into some bite-sized chunks of steps towards that path that they want to go with the amount of risk that they want to take.
Let me kind of break that down a little bit, because I have a hard problem visualizing one of those big, hairy, audacious goals. Like when you talk about walking around the block, I can see how that works in theory, but then when I try to do something like that in my own life, seeing the big picture is difficult, but not impossible, right? So I have a hard time seeing that vision clearly. I see a vision like that, maybe a little bit blurry, but what I can do, and which is what I think you ended up going into that next spot, and I kind of want to go there, is then it's what are these small steps that we can take to get you closer and closer? Because I think it's like that mirage feeling, right? You see this thing out in the open, you know you're going to go towards it. You don't quite exactly know what it is, but you know it's better than where you are here today. And so you start taking these little steps, and as you get closer and closer, the vision becomes clearer and clearer. At least that's been my experience with anything that I visualize. But the things that I can clearly visualize, the things that I can clearly see myself doing, they come to fruition, right? And sometimes it's not the big thing that I want because I can't clearly see it. But there's maybe not 2 steps away, but maybe a mile away. That one I can clearly see, and I tend to get there. How do you help people when they can't visualize that big end goal? Maybe not the 10 years, maybe not the 5 years, but they can see 6 months away. They can see 3 months away.
Yeah. And I think you hit it on the head, right? It's that one that you can see, and then beginning to take those steps towards it. And right when you talk about it, I love to get people into simple micro steps even as well. So I'm just looking at your great background that you got there. Right? All that, right? The podcast, the other things that you do, it took some micro steps. So I'm even thinking of the first time that you had to go online and order a microphone. You had to send out an email. You had to do research how to start a podcast, right? You had to contact somebody. You had to contact the graphic designer, right? All those micro steps, right? And you probably never envisioned that it got to where it is now, and you're doing some of the other things as well. But the fact that you took those small steps. And so when I work with people, I encourage them with that, whether the people that are in the audience today, they have that, hey, just take that one thing and send an email. Sometimes for me, I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to be vulnerable. Sometimes when I'm stuck, maybe I'm not having a great day, I go down to a simple micro step, which is, Clint, just do one email, right? Email one potential client. It's hard. It seems easy. You're like, what? You're this great coach. But sometimes we get in that position and it's just do one thing towards your goal today. And as you said, that goal will begin to reveal itself as you move down the line. And then you'll begin to see that bigger picture come into fruition as you take those micro steps.
Funny, man. That's so funny because at the thought of that micro step, right? Those little actions, for me, it's time frames. I used, you took one email. For me, it was like, I'm going to do this for 2 minutes. Or like when I wake up in the morning, I don't feel like going on my run. I'm like, I'm just going to do 2 miles today. And then once you start going, the momentum picks up, and then it's like, okay, I'm going to continue to do this thing on my own. So what are some other unique ways that people can maybe set some goals, achieve some goals, so they start living a more fulfilled life versus kind of doing things that other people make them do? I'm thinking like most people live their life based on their job, for example. They keep their job and then they try to build a life around that. How can we kind of build the life we want and then create our business or create our surrounding around the life that we're looking for?
Yeah, I would say, kind of like we're talking about a little bit is habits, right? Just beginning to develop some simple habits around your life. So, right, whether it's exercise, you mentioned, not wanting to go on that run. For me, I even get down to, I like to go work out. So it's like, Clint, just get off the couch. Just take a step away from the couch and begin to move towards it. But I think it's beginning to develop those simple habits, a simple goal around it, and not getting too focused on the destination, but really being positive with yourself. Like you said, hey, that was good. I worked towards this goal for 2 minutes. That's positive, right? Some people, I work with clients and they really struggle. They're like, oh my gosh, I didn't grind for 14 hours on this one project. And I'm like, you got to have some self-love, and whatever you do is a positive step. And I tell people this, any movement towards your goal is success. Let me say that again. Any movement towards your goal is success. Sometimes we get mired and we make up things in our head. Oh my gosh, I have to do this much and then I'm perceived as successful. But if you take any steps towards it, that is success.
Even baby steps get you in the direction where you want to go. At the end of the day, it's progress that is actually making you happy, not necessarily the destination. I remember watching Kevin Hart talk to Joe Rogan on an interview, and he was talking about how life is a series of levels. And every time you reach a new level, you can choose to stay at that level or continue to move forward. And I think that's kind of where that taking those baby step actions get you there. Before you know it, even though it's a series of baby steps, you're looking back and you're like, I can't believe I'm where I am today. I was so far back before. And maybe some days you catch some momentum and you're not taking baby steps. You're in a full-on sprint, or you're in a great vehicle and you're rolling. But there are going to be days where you just can't. You're stuck, and at least the habits that you have in place will get you in that progress that you're looking for. So let me ask you about helping people kind of enhance their decision-making ability, because motivation is often one of the excuses that people use for not doing the things that they need to do. I didn't feel like waking up. I wasn't motivated to go work out. I didn't have that motivation to do whatever, versus this is what I do. These are the habits that I have in place. When you're working with leaders and entrepreneurs, team members, how do you help them identify some of those core things that they need to do, and then create a way to help make their decision-making process a lot easier so they're progressing every single day?
Yeah, I think a key, and you touch on this as well, is a key for successful people is knowing what to say no to. Right? There's a million things we can say yes to. The key to success is knowing what to say no to. So once you begin to identify that one or two things, right, high level, that are going to make you successful, then you want to begin to take steps towards that. And when you talk about motivation, one of the things that you can do to help motivate is is to enhance your surroundings. Make sure that the place that you're doing things, wherever you're going, wherever you're setting yourself up, is conducive to you being motivated. So whether it's your home office, whether it's having the right music on, if you're working out, whether it's a coffee, right? If you have your favorite food or something around it, something that triggers that habit that you need to do is a great way to kind of jar momentum, get you going, and to begin to help you to move towards those habits. And I would say a second thing too is you want to begin to reward yourself when you begin to make those healthy decisions. So, like you said, I like to work out. So every time after I work out, I love getting my favorite drink, my favorite healthy drink. So I make sure to do that as a reward, and that kind of reinforces the habit. And then I know in the next time in my decision making, okay, is this going to be something I enjoy? Yes, because I got the right music on that I like. I got my coffee as I head there. I know afterwards I'm going to do something. And so you try to create an environment and then a reward and tie it to that habit.
We talked a little bit earlier about the power of having a coach in your life, because it's such a powerful thing for the nudging. It's a powerful thing for, having a cheerleader, somebody in your corner to push you forward. But we don't talk about the other side, which is kind of removing some of the toxicity that you might have in your life. And sometimes that toxicity could be somebody close to you, could be some friends that you might have had for a long time, but not necessarily. And I don't want to say toxic as in a super negative thing, like they're bad people or anything. It's just that maybe their habits or maybe the things that they're doing on a regular basis are not conducive to where you're trying to go. As a coach, do you kind of have to have that conversation sometimes where, like, yeah, that person that you're spending a lot of time with, that's not really helping you? How can we kind of shift that? What's that scenario like for you as a coach?
Yeah, you want to begin, with coaching, we dig in with questions, right? And so you want to begin to find out, tell me about how you feel around this person, right? Is this person enhancing what you are doing? And really begin, through questioning and less judgment. What we really want to do is help them to evoke awareness and for them to understand some of those things that this other person might be pouring into his or her life. And as they begin to do that, as they begin to say, you know what, I never realized I felt this way around this person. And then we go even deeper. Why do you think you feel that way around this person? What are some things that have happened to you in the past that have caused that? What has been the results from that? And through that, they begin to identify some of those, if you will, toxic behaviors or less helpful behaviors that this person is pouring into their lives. And then with coaching, we help them then, come up with a plan. Okay, do you want that in your life, right? Is that going to help you get to where you're going? Or do you want to develop a path, right, which is a different relationship? Doesn't mean you break the relationship, but how can we create a relationship that's different so that you can have it yet flourish at the same time, if that's possible?
So let me ask you about goals. Is there a secret way, a better way, a more successful way of setting and achieving goals? Like personally, I have 4 that I'm working on myself. I literally journal every night, and the way I journal is I write the goal down, and what did I do today, or what did I struggle with today in that category? I write the next goal down, and I do the same thing for each of the 4 categories every single night, so that 2 things. One is I'm writing them all the time. They're constantly on the top of my mind. And then I'm assessing what I'm doing towards those types of things. I don't know how successful it's going to be. We'll see. I'm working towards it. Progress is the key here. But as you work with more and more clients, what are some of those goal setting techniques that people can utilize, put into action today to help them take their mindset to that next level and then ultimately take their business or their life to that next level?
Yeah, you are already successful. And I know for sure, just by you doing that, just by you writing down your goals, you are ahead of a huge portion of the population. I'll share with you this goal that 80% of people, this is I did the research on this, 80% of people do not have a goal. Do not have a goal, personal goal for themselves. That was mind blowing when I thought of that and did the research on it. And then those that do, like yourself, write down their goals are more likely to accomplish their goals. The research backs that up as well. So if you're doing those things, right, you're writing them down, you're assessing them. And if you share, here's another tip as well. If you verbalize those goals to someone else, if you speak them, if you tell your parent, your loved one, a teacher, hey, I want to do this, the research shows that you are more likely to hit that goal as well. The reason? Because it helps with accountability. Now you've shared it, and you're going to run into them at the supermarket, or you're going to see your aunt at the next event, and they're going to go, how's it going for your goal to get a full ride scholarship? Or how's it going to, on your goal to get straight A's? And that knowledge in your head is going to bounce in your head, and it's going to nudge you to begin to take action towards that. And then, of course, I'm mandated to say coaching. You have somebody in your corner that is, oh my gosh, I have a meeting with my coach in 2 weeks. We had these objectives I had to work on. Oh crap, I better get them done, right? Just like a teacher, you got to get stuff done, and you get it done. So that also, having an accountability partner just raises your likelihood of achieving your goals as well.
And I'm going to piggyback off that. If you don't have an accountability partner, the internet works well as just the same. So for me, creating content was one of those things that I knew I needed to do as a business owner. And so like I create this piece every single time after my run in the mornings. And it's like my accountability piece. If I don't post, then I get people like, hey, what happened today? Oh, you didn't run today? Like, and then I kind of feel that. I'm like, okay, I got to get back on the horse here and make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But it's a great way to hold yourself accountable, to be able to do, like, first of all, you're putting it out into the universe, right? Into the internet or the Twitter spheres, right? But second, now you're developing the habit to progressively get better at whatever it is you're doing. That's how this podcast ended up. Your episode 1144. Every day is just a little bit better. Learning how to do this a little bit better. Progress is the key. So, Doc, you shared a lot of great stuff with us today. If people want to reach out, they're like, look, all right, coaching is something I need to do. I really did jive today with Dr. Clint. How can I do that? How can I reach out and talk to him?
Yeah, you can see that website there, successfullycoaching.com, also on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and also you can see behind me here, Amazon. I got a book that I recently did called Power Coaching. And so if they want to take a deeper dive, hopefully there's a nugget or two in there that they might appreciate as well.
And let me ask you from a business standpoint, what was it like starting a coaching or consulting business? I know a lot of people try to get into that space, and I feel personally it's not the easiest thing because you got to build your personal reputation here. You got to build your personal brand, and it does take a lot of outbound prospecting to meet and work with people in different spaces. What was your experience like building a coaching and consulting business?
Scary, risky, hard, challenging, unfun, all the above. It's all those things, but I could tell from you, right? You like to grow and you like to develop, and I love that, right? I just like you said with the Kevin Hart thing, I want to just get a little bit better, and I want to challenge myself. And that's always scary, sending out cold emails, doing cold calls, but they help you grow, and it's challenging running a business. But, like when you know your why is, like I said, I'll full circle it back. The ability to help people come alongside them, be in their corner, help them achieve their dreams and goals. I love that. When I get to coach, it's amazing and fun, built for it, wired for it. So that makes the other stuff all worth it.
I think that's why I'm never going to leave the classroom. It's kind of like limited coaching. I get the kids for like 1 year. I pour into them whatever I possibly can. Some of them it's very educational, and some of them it's a lot more personal. It just depends on where they are and what they need in life. But to see the light bulbs go off, and even more so to see them as they become adults, and like just be grateful for the opportunity that was presented in the class that they never knew was possible, and now this is their life that they're living. That's where it's all at. And I think I share that with you because you know exactly what that's like, helping people achieve their goals and making it a success. Dr. Clint, I got one more last selfish question. You know, we do a lot of different podcasts, interview a lot of entrepreneurs. You've probably been on many different podcasts before. What was your experience like creating content today with the Business Bros?
I loved it. I love your energy. I love the questions. I loved our conversation, and it was very pleasant. I felt very comfortable, very at ease, and liked the style. So I really appreciated that. Perfect.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, look, I tell you guys over and over, we have coaches that come on the show. Every coach is a little bit different. I, like Dr. Clint, believe that you should all have a coach. You should have somebody that you're looking up to, somebody who's pushing you, nudging you, and getting you in the direction that you want to go in. If today's episode caught your attention, if Dr. Clint is somebody that you want to connect with, make sure you go to his website, successfullycoaching.com, successfullycoaching.com. You can find him on social at successfullycoaching. And he's got a book you guys can check out as well. Dr. Clint, thank you very much for being on the program. Ladies and gentlemen, if you need help creating content at scale, make sure you guys go to our website, businessbros.biz. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace. And we're out.
It's over. Go home.
Is your business in need of marketing? Try starting a podcast. But not just any podcast. Podcast like a pro. We can show you how to take your business from being invisible to becoming a brand people trust. Go to www.businessbros.biz